Welcome to the MMA Fan Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Stu and Blake.
Hello and welcome to the MMA Fan Show. I am Blake Harrison. Joining me as always is Stuart. And we are in the hot box, the MMA sweat section.
Yeah.
The hairy bumhole of MMA journalism.
That'd be an horrible place, wouldn't it? The hairy bumhole of MMA.
Yeah.
Who's got the hairiest bumhole in MMA?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe Bilal. He looks like a hairy man.
He's a hairy man.
Who was that guy he fought on Cage Warriors? And we saw him lose in I don't know if he lost to Ian Gary, if he lost someone else. He was nicknamed the Wolverine. He looked like he might have a hairy bum. I've got a hairy bum. I'm going to put it out there now. Yeah? Don't be upset or, don't be embarrassed. Some of us have got hairy bums. And that's okay. I'm proud of my hairy bum.
If you're struggling to deal with having an hairy bum, we'll put some helplines in the show notes where you can phone and get support for your hairy bum.
And if you're someone that lasers or waxes the hair on your hairy bum, then you're a fraud and a fakester, and I've got no time for you. Just let it grow, baby.
Enjoy the fights of the weekend?
Yeah, mate, all good. Before we talk about the fights, and there's a lot to talk about, obviously. UFC 304, loads and loads and loads to talk about. We are going to go through it in pretty much fight order, but there's a lot of drama with a young man from Wigan in Mohammed Makayev. We will also be getting to that as well.
Got a lot to say about that.
There's a lot going. A lot of people got a lot to say about it. There's a lot. It's huge. If you don't know, stay tuned because we will be talking about what's going on with Mohammed Makayev, who got a win at the weekend, and the drama leading up to the fight. What's happened since, which I found quite shocking, to be honest. But yeah, it's all to come. All to come. But first, we talk about our sponsors, Ferocious Fightwear, for all your rash guards, shorts, wraps, gum shields. We have a discount code for you. Go to ferociousfightwear.com and stick in MMA Fan Show 15. That's MMA Fan Show 15, and you will get a discount on all your fight gear. So if you're listening, if you train, if you're a fighter, go down there and get yourself some discounted clobber.
Absolutely. We have another sponsor, Fat Candy.
Fat Candy?
Yeah, I mean, you can see it if you're not watching the show. Then I would head over to YouTube just to see the glorious colours. And while you're over there, subscribe. I'm from where I'm sitting now. I mean, this one's gone a bit hybrid. This is the Blackjacks, and so if you can see there, the Blackjacks, when they're freeze dried, these sweets, they get huge. I'll leave that one out because I will have that one. I won't do it just yet because it'll make my yellowy teeth go black. But yeah, Fat Candy, freeze-dried candies, all your favourite sweets growing up. Skittles is the main one. You smashed downful before we started.
I'm buzzing right now. I'm full of skittly goodness.
Absolutely.
Right now.
So if you're heading down to train in your Ferocious Fightwear garms and you want a little pick-me-up before you go, smash a load of freeze-dried sugar in your mouth and you will be a buzzing. But also, it's a really cool little treat for the kids and stuff like that. And, I mean, we say it's a treat for the kids. We've both got kids. I've not took any home from our kids. The only people I've seen eating them are me and you.
Yep, all for me. They are delicious.
Try it out. You've probably seen it all over TikTok anyway. It's going crazy, this Fat Candy and these freeze-dried sweets. And they've been really cool to reach out and sponsor the show. And you, again, we've got a discount code for you and you can save some money. Just put in the code SWEET MMA and save yourself some money. So those are the sponsors. I just want to get on with talking about the weekend.
Sure.
Because I made this statement that you got really pissed off about, right? That I thought it was the best card of the year.
Yeah.
Because of my emotional involvement.
Yeah.
Right. So
did it live up to it?
No.
So Stu Whiffin, was UFC 304 as good as UFC 300? Was it the greatest card of the year / greatest card of all time? Or were you, in fact, just chatting shit?
I can't talk at the moment. I'm eating.
Yeah. So, Stu Whiffin was chatting absolute nonsense. We're staring at a picture of Bilal Muhammad getting the belt wrapped round him. Leon Edwards defeated. How did you find the fight itself?
Really boring.
Yeah.
So before we get on to just how boring it was, did you stay up?
Hell no. No, I had too much stuff going on, and if I had stayed up, I'd have been fucked for today and a few other things I had going on. So no, I woke up at about 6, ran downstairs, watched as much as I could, which was about 1.
I love the fact you ran downstairs.
Ran downstairs.
Like, he's been.
Dana's been. He's left me all these prezzies, all these fights.
It's even better than I imagined.
Oh my God. I knew I heard him last night on the roof. Dropping those fights down the chimney. So no, I got up at 6, went downstairs and watched maybe one fight before my son came and joined me because he gets up bloody early. And and then just watched it all and did what I could to drown out the noise of my family, who I'm supposed to love and care for and everything.
Getting away from their families.
Just God, leave it alone. I'll watch the fights, family. And it was a good card. I loved watching some of the prelims and seeing some of our former guests of the show doing very, very well, and we'll get on to all of that. It ended in very lackluster fashion, didn't it? Also, I mean,
you're not going to even ask me where I watched it, are you?
Oh, go on. Where did you watch it?
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. And I wasn't even interested where he watched it. I just wanted to get it back to me so I could talk about where I watched it.
Come on in, Stu. Come on in, Father Time. Tell us a story.
I wanted to talk about it because we had a bit of fun because we was meant to have been there, right?
Yeah, I had a couple of moments when I saw like the
when I see Volk was
conference
there, I was like,
oh no,
man.
mate! When I saw Volk and MVP were just hanging out there, I was like, oh, we could have been hanging out with them.
Yep.
I was a bit gutted. I'm not going to lie.
That's when I got the FOMO. When I see Volk and MVP, I was like, oh shit, man. And also, as we talked through the fights, we've had pretty much, most of the fighters on this podcast.
Yeah.
Certainly the Brits, essentially. And we decided we weren't going to go because we had work commitments. Mm-hmm. And my work commitments obviously meant that I was running a nightclub.
Yep.
So I had Fight Pass on my phone, trying to manage 600 people going mad clubbing. Whilst, I'll be honest with you, I was more interested in what was going on my telephone. So I watched all of the prelims and the Fight Pass prelims on my phone, then left the club when it shut at 3:00. Drove like a maniac. You know how slow I drive. Right? I drove quite quickly to get home in time for Arnold's fight, and I timed it perfectly and stayed up.
Did you stay up for the whole thing? So you watched it all live?
And watched it all and went to bed literally broad daylight.
Did you not fall asleep during the main event then?
Yes.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. So I think I fell asleep maybe in the sort of fourth round for a bit and had one of them kind of, because it wasn't interesting.
Do you know what? I don't think it was but I think had Leon won, obviously, I would have been like, oh, yeah, it was a good fight. But I think because Bilal won, I think it slightly taints it for me a little bit. But it wasn't actually that bad a fight, I don't think. I think it had some fun moments.
Right, pros, right? So
Go on.
I am, our mate Reese mentioned to me, said, you seen this video where one of Bilal's trainers is going, he's got hands like Canelo now. And it's like... Right, this is Bilal Muhammad, right? He does not have hands like Canelo.
He made DC say it at the end.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, he was saying, tell him I got hands like Canelo. And DC was like, really relaxed. Yeah, you're like Canelo.
Right, he hasn't got hands like Canelo, but let's just say his hands were improved vastly.
This could be the best
anyone expect this.
Muhammad performance we've had.
Yes, but... Right, so look. I put it in a little message earlier and to our little group chat with Brian Lacey and Scroobius Pip. And the question I want to ask you, Harrison, is, did Leon Edwards turn up or did Bilal fight the fight of his career?
I don't know. I think Bilal... No, do you know what? Bilal definitely fought the fight of his career. But in my head going into the fight... Bilal fighting the fight of his career still wasn't good enough. I don't understand the nuances of wrestling enough to be able to tell you why Bilal is different to Kamaru Usman or Colby Covington, because Leon dealt with them incredibly well. The one obvious thing that Bilal did that really seemed to trouble Leon is pressure and coming forward. And it wasn't like contained. It wasn't like Usman, who's like thinking of himself as a bit of a striker and kind of playing a slower game with him. Bilal was just like, yeah, get forward, throw some hands, just go. And he had some success. He clipped Leon with an uppercut in the first round. And
Leon didn't know how to deal with him.
And it seemed like Leon was comfortable, or at least he thought it was okay, because he'd done it in the previous 3 fights where he allows himself to get pushed back against the cage, deals with the takedown, turns, maybe even implements some of his own grappling because he believes in his own grappling, or turns, lands an elbow on the break, and now can get back to striking with you a little bit. Bilal didn't allow that because he was like, I'm just going to come forward, I'm going to throw hands so that you're covering up and get back against the cage, and as soon as you're there, I'm shooting for the takedown. And he did it the first 15 seconds of the fight, he got Leon on the ground. And Leon, I don't remember doing like a huge amount I think he maybe got to his feet. I'm trying to remember now, but he was able to just kind of back Leon up quite easily, get Leon so worried about the hands and not really throwing back enough that he was able to just take him down when he wanted. And that was it. The second round where he dropped him on his head. That was, I was seeing that in slow motion. That looked like it could be really damaging to the spine. Like, I'm just like, it landed on top of his head. All of his weight seemed to go on top of his head and go through his neck and everything. That was a really impactful takedown. And Leon did incredibly well to be, well, quite frankly, he didn't seem overly bothered by it. But it was, it was Bilal's night. Bilal put on a really, really good performance. It did look like Leon was quite lackluster, though. It did look like Leon was not dealing with the takedowns too well, not able to get his hands going, really. And I'm not sure if... Yeah, so I'm not sure. I do think Bilal gave his best performance today, or
smartest performance.
Yeah, but I also think there's some stock in saying Leon wasn't quite how we've seen him previously.
Leon should be on point. You know, this is...
At 5 a.m.?
Yeah.
Why?
What Bilal Muhammad was?
Yeah, but he's fighting on his own time zone.
Like...
This is normal for him. He just has to travel to the UK.
Did it affect any of the other... Oh, I suppose they were earlier in the evening. I don't know. I think
what Leon said in post-fight, that he said he's been tired all week and he can't... Like, he said all credit to Bilal. He wasn't making excuses, but he did say that he's been tired all week. And I wonder if trying to acclimatise... It's one thing to travel to another country and keep your kind of like time zone, like keep your body clock where it is and fight. It's another thing to go, right, where your body is usually maybe waking up at 5 after 7 hours sleep if you're a fighter, or 6, 7 a.m., whatever it would be that you'd be waking up if you're one of these athletes training. Is to then say you're actually going to have been awake for, I don't know, and maybe Leon hasn't slept, but like, say Leon got up at 10 a.m., he's been awake for, my maths is rubbish, but like might have been awake for 18 hours and now he's fighting the biggest fight of his life. You're just like, I don't know. I think that's going to have an impact. Yes, you can say Tom Aspinall wasn't bothered by it. He did fight slightly earlier. And if Tom Aspinall had fought 3, 4, 5 rounds, would we have seen him deteriorate? Who knows? I mean, we never got to that point, obviously. But I don't know. I do think it might have been a factor, but I don't necessarily think it was the most important factor. I think the most important factor was probably just Bilal did incredibly well.
I'm not hating on Leon, you know, and but he, like you say, I think lackluster is a good word. He just didn't seem to sort of really show any kind of like, I want this.
He felt slow, didn't he?
And like,
Bilal felt quicker than him, and everyone was like, oh, well, the obvious thing, Leon's got his speed. And like, he didn't. And
the takedowns, you could see where they were coming. He'd throw them strikes, like you said, then boom, he'd just drop him down. And it wasn't an exciting fight to watch. I know Dana's come out and sort of said about it.
He just said like it wasn't a barn burner, and he's not wrong.
Yeah, it
But I
wasn't.
don't think it was a terrible fight.
All right. Well, look. So, where does this leave the welterweight division? So, for me,
I've done a bit of matchmaking for it. What I think should
so do
happen.
I.
But go on. Oh,
So
good.
do I,
Go on. You
right.
tell me yours then. How do you think the division plays
well,
out?
I think the UFC do not want Bilal as the champ. I think that they're going to want rid of him ASAP.
I agree.
And I think the quickest way to do that is probably giving him Shavkat,
I agree.
which I think is going to be the next fight. I don't think
Do you
Leon's
think they
going to.
could do it in Abu Dhabi in October as part of a pay-per-view?
Yeah.
It depends on whether or not Bilal can fight quick enough and whether he'd be happy to defend the belt in just like 2.5 months or whatever it would be.
It didn't look like to me he took much damage.
He got a bad cut at the end,
did
didn't
get
he?
that
Leon
cut in
cut
the
him
last
open.
round
at
with
the
the
end.
elbow,
That's
didn't
the
he?
other thing is Leon was able to reverse positions, but only with like 45 seconds to go, both in the 5th round and I think there was another point as well, maybe the 3rd round or 2nd round or something like that, where Leon reversed the position in the grappling and then just he got off obviously that cut in the 5th round, but not enough offense to steal the rounds back or anything like that. And it was a
Coleman
shame.
was saying you got to knock him out.
He's still good for him to do that to Bilal and reverse those positions and do well. And
It felt too little, too late.
yes, too little, too late. That's it.
So I think they'll give Shavkat the shot, and rightly so.
Yep.
I don't think that performance from Leon warrants a rematch. Like, I don't think if it was a lot closer and if it was a lot more exciting, I think Dana would be like, right, let's run that back, you know. But I don't think.
I don't think
it's
there's a
gonna
rematch.
happen.
No.
I think give him Ian Gary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've done a similar thing. What do you do with JDM? Because I've done exactly what I've said. Bilal versus Shavkat. Maybe in Abu Dhabi if Bilal can fight quickly, because in place like Abu Dhabi, Bilal being of Palestinian kind of like descent as well, he I think will be a bit of a star out there. And I did see something just pop up on my phone just before we started recording this that seemed to say that Islam Makhachev has got some kind of partially torn ligament. And that makes me think Islam Makhachev versus Sarukian was the fight that was they were trying to look to do in the Abu Dhabi October pay-per-view. And now if Islam is injured, they might need another person, that is Muslim or from around that region or something like that. And when it comes to those fighters, you've maybe got Islam, you've got maybe Shemaev, but he's not a champion. And now you've got Bilal Muhammad, who is a champion. So that makes me think that if Islam is injured, I strongly think that you could do Bilal versus Shavkat in October for the welterweight title, if Bilal will go with that. Leon versus Ian Gary is a fight to make. I think Leon said he wants another fight this year. I'm sure Ian's happy to do that. And there's a lot of story there. I'd like to see Kamaru Usman versus Jack Della Maddalena.
Yeah, boy.
I think that's a good fight. I mean, I'm saying that because I actually wanted Usman to go and stay at middleweight, but it looks like he's not going to do that. I keep hearing he's going back down to welterweight. So if he is going to come back down to welterweight, give him Jack Della Maddalena. That's a good fight for me. And then you've got a situation then where if Ian Gary beats Leon, Gary probably gets the shot. If Leon beats Gary, then maybe it would be Usman or JDM, whichever one. Because I think Leon might have to get a couple of wins to get back to a fight. I think Jack Della Maddalena with a win, exciting fighter, decent enough highlight reel, could fight Shavkat. Usman with a win, big name, really legitimises Shavkat if Shavkat beats Bilal and then Usman. So I think that's the way to go with it. I think that's a good bit of matchmaking for the welterweight division.
Okay.
What did you make of Bilal in general? Like, in the build-up to the fight, he was talking a lot of shit. And I have to say, I wasn't a big fan of it. All that whole kind of like, I'm going to make you all cry. Leon's coach is going to be giving him those pep talks and I'm going to be laughing and, all this kind of stuff. And like, England are losing again, like referencing the Spain in the Euros and all that kind of stuff. I wasn't a big fan of him all of a sudden playing like the pantomime villain. Like, I don't feel like he's really done that before. And I'm like...
Maybe... Because
he backed it up, is what I was going to say.
Because he's so boring, like, maybe he's just thought, right, I can just be the quiet guy in this fight,
Yeah.
fighting another humble, quiet guy.
Yep.
Or I'm going to walk out the booth. I might as well just get some hype, get some coverage, which he's got.
Yep.
And he delivered on it all.
That's the thing. He backed it up. So you can't I can't moan at him
The guy's
too
been
much.
fostering kids from Palestine, man.
Is he?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, that changed a lot for me.
Really?
Like, I was watching some of the stuff. Yeah, he's been like kids that come from like he's been like fostering and yeah, he's got like kids living with him from Palestine, man.
Where was that on? Like Embedded or
Yeah.
something? All right. Well, I'm definitely going to want to try and watch that. But
Yeah. So that really
that makes me think he's a really
man.
good guy. But I still don't like the change of energy with the pantomime villain thing. It's not. I'm not a big fan of that. However, as I said beforehand, if you're backing it up, you can kind of go, well, you're backing it up.
Yeah.
So but I do think Shavkat is the fight to make, and I think it's a good one. How does that fight go for you if they make that fight? Who wins? Do you know what, I'm more interested because I think we'd both say we'd favour Shavkat, right? Let's say Bilal Muhammad fought and beat Shavkat. If he's beat Leon and beat Shavkat, is there anyone in that division you'd be worried about him fighting? Or would you be like, no, he's the favourite in every fight?
I rate Jack Della Maddalena. I think he's really good.
Over Shavkat?
No, but I want to see how far Ian Gary can go.
No, I want to see it. But my question is, if Bilal Muhammad beats Shavkat after beating Leon, is he then the favourite going into pretty much every fight in that welterweight division?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
He would be, right? Like, if he fights Ian Gary after beating Shavkat,
He'll be the favourite.
Ian Gary's got a chance, but Bilal, you can't do that to Leon and Shavkat and not be the favourite against Gary or JDM or Usman or anyone, really, can you?
Absolutely.
Interesting.
Should we talk about a big fella?
Let's talk about it. This is way happier times. At first it looked like Tom got clipped a couple of times by Curtis, only a little bit, but like he did land. I think Tom came out and said something like, Curtis wasn't quicker than I thought he was, but he had longer arms than I realised. So I thought something wasn't going to hit me, but then it did, and it surprised me. But then as soon as Tom just went, fuck it, he knocked him down with a jab.
That right hand missed.
That right hand basically missed. Yeah, it probably grazed, but he knocked him down with a jab and then swarmed on him.
The speed he got on him for a fucking big boy. It's
God.
unreal.
It's scary, isn't it?
Right, so, playing devil's advocate, obviously we love Tom Aspinall. We're buzzing that, this story is now going to continue and we'll get on to where it goes next. Curtis Blades protested straight away.
Yep.
He wasn't out.
No.
And to me, was it Goddard? I can't think. Whoever it was that was reffing.
Might have been Goddard. I'm not 100% sure.
Just as the fight was being stopped, it looked like Blades was kind of arching up. But he was fighting back.
Yep.
He wasn't fighting back. He was trying to get out of the situation. Now, obviously, as soon as he got finished, I was jumping around my front room.
Yep.
Tom's done it. And then there was people saying, well, he's complaining straight away. And then there was other people saying it was finished too early. I saw something really interesting by Tom in response to that. Have you seen it?
I think so, but carry on. But I think
he says, I'm whatever it is, however many fucking stone. I've got him flat out and I'm raining down unanswered shots on his head. Should that have been stopped? I think so. Because what do you want me to do? What else can you do? Fighter safety has got to be paramount, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So I don't subscribe to that fight was never going to go anywhere after that. He was flat out and Tom was on top of him, smashing him. Why are you so pleased with yourself? Do you disagree?
I'm not pleased. I don't know how I feel about it.
Right.
I don't see. This is what I don't know. So I don't think that there necessarily would have been a different outcome in the fight. But I also don't think Curtis was out. I think it's a huge fight for a title. Yes, fighter safety is paramount. But I think you got to give him the chance. I do. I think you'll give him the chance to get up and just see where it goes, because Tom was obviously hitting him hard, but he wasn't like, he didn't have hooks in and have him flattened out where he cannot escape. He was sort of lying down on top of him. And yes, he's 250 pounds, but Curtis Blades is 256 pounds. So it's like, well, maybe he can scramble out, get you in guard or something like that. Like, again, if Curtis Blades turns onto his back there and somehow wraps his leg around Tom and Tom is in Curtis's guard, it's Tom's world, man. The jiu-jitsu stuff, the fight's not going to go a different way for me. So I have not moaned about the stoppage because I don't think the fight is going to go any differently.
Yeah.
But equally, if I was in Curtis's corner, if I was a big Curtis Blades fan, I would probably be saying, you got to give him the chance to, because I think you've got to give him the chance.
Yeah.
But I can understand Tom's perspective that he's like, I think he said, like, what idiot is saying that?
Yeah.
Hello, idiot. I don't know. So I'm not moaning about it. I don't think it's a problem. I don't think the fight goes any differently. But if I was in Curtis's corner, I think I'd be a little bit annoyed that he wasn't given the opportunity to see if he can get. We've seen other fights where people are given way more opportunity to get past adversity, and they are in way worse situations. I mean, friggin' hell, one of the other fighters on the card was Oban Elliott. There were times in that Contender Series fight where it looked like he was done and he came back. And there's probably countless other fights that I can't name off the top of my head where you go, that fighter was done. What an incredible comeback to come back from that. I mean, in fights, particularly for belts, when the stakes are really high, you've got to give them the opportunity. And it's not even like, I didn't feel like Curtis was stumbling around because his equilibrium was completely gone. That jab just kind of knocked him back. And he was probably, if Tom had just stepped back, he probably would have got straight to his feet and been fine. Yeah. He wasn't, so I'm sort of got a foot in both camps.
Yeah.
Not got a problem with it, but equally I can understand people having a little moan about it.
Look, I didn't want to see 5 rounds. I'd like to see a bit more of Tom, because we're not seeing much of him.
We're not getting any questions answered. He's so good that we're not getting any questions answered. So, like, this fight, you were kind of hoping, if Blade shoots a takedown and can get him down, that makes you think, I wonder what John Jones would do. But right now, you're just like, still unanswered questions.
Yeah.
Tom's not really faced any adversity in the cage.
Yeah.
So
he must have heard you, because he did call out John Jones, didn't he, at the end? He's being
not quite in the nasty way I would have.
No, I know. But he's really weird. He's just a nice bloke, isn't he? But
he's a lovely man.
He's very respectful about John Jones, isn't he?
Yep.
And I think sooner or later he might have to ramp that up, because John Jones I don't know what. There's no other heavyweights at the moment out there for him.
No, but look, there are heavyweights for him.
I'm not interested
but I think
in Cyril
Gane. I think what the heavyweight division becomes without John Jones is it becomes the flyweight division under Demetrius Johnson. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm seeing. I think Tom Aspinall could deal with Cyril Gane, Jailton Almeida, Volkov again. I'm trying to think who he hasn't fought yet. I don't know. Whatever heavyweights come through that he hasn't fought yet, I think he could deal with them in the same kind of easy but more exciting manner than what Demetrius Johnson dealt with flyweights in his flyweight run.
Do you think he would beat Francis Ngannou?
Tom, yeah. I mean, but they're the fights I'd want to see. I'm less interested in Jailton Almeida and Cyril Gane. I'm more interested in John Jones and Francis Ngannou.
Baddest men on the planet.
Francis is not going to happen. But yeah, I think Francis can clip anyone. So there's danger there. And Tom might have to go, shit, I just want to take him down and deal with him on the ground. And that'll probably be the best bet. But Tom's so quick, maybe he could land a 1-2 before Francis can land. But if Francis lands, Tom's going to sleep, because everyone goes to sleep if Francis lands on you. With John Jones is not a knockout artist. I don't think Tom would have too much trouble with him on the feet, even though he's quite rangy and long. But we've seen John struggled previously with long-rangey fighters in Gustafsson 1, Dominic Reyes, who people thought actually beat John Jones, fighters like that. So I think Tom deals with John quite well. I think overall he would deal with Francis well, but he's got more chance of getting beat by Francis in my eyes because heavyweight MMA, as Tom said, anyone can beat anyone. You've only got to get clips on. Francis is the guy with the power to clip you. John isn't really. John would have to take him down and deal with him on the ground. And we haven't seen enough of Tom's jiu-jitsu outside of the Volkov fight, but he's a black belt. He's very good. He's a big lad. He rolls around with heavyweights regularly at the new gym where he's, it just seems to be a mecca for heavyweights at the moment to train at. So, yeah, I don't see Tom struggling with anyone really. And there is a danger. Well, I was going to say there's a danger that it gets a bit boring, but I don't think it will because he's finishing people early and he's getting knockouts, and that's always fun to see. Where I think it's a bit harsh is Tom's defended this interim belt once. If he defends this interim belt again, he's not going to get any rubies in it, is he? Or are those rubies going to then transfer to the undisputed belt when he has that? If Jones retires and he just gets upgraded to undisputed, and then let's say Tom has beaten Blades, then he beats, say, Cyril Gahn, then he's upgraded to undisputed and beats, I don't know, Jailton Almeida, then he's got 3 title defences, which is tied with Stipe Miocic, the guy we think of as the greatest heavyweight ever in the UFC. But will that count? Because they're interim title defences. So does he have to get technically 5 title defences to even tie with Stipe, because some of them will have been interim? Do you know what I mean? And that feels a bit harsh. That feels unfair on Tom and the legacy he'll leave. And people say, if he got beat after, say, magically he does 2 interim title defences, then wins 2 undisputed title defences, and then someone comes along and beats him, he's actually got more heavyweight title defences than Stipe, but no one will see it that way because it's not undisputed. And that feels harsh to me.
John Jones spoils everything.
That's the point I was trying to make.
Absolutely. Dana
did say it would be next.
Yes.
I don't know if I 100% believe him. Or maybe I believe that Dana would like to do it. I believe Dana's on board. He wants to do Stipe v. Jones for whatever fucking reason. And then he wants to do Aspinall versus the winner, which will probably be Jones. I think, though, that he has to just accept the fact that Jones could very easily just retire. Has Tom done enough? Jones a while ago was saying, I want the money fights, and he's talked about Pereira and all those things. Tom's done enough now, though, right, to go, you can't go to Pereira.
Yeah.
You can't go. I don't think, would the fans accept it? If Jones beats Stipe and calls out Pereira, what would the fan reaction be?
I don't think they'd be interested. I don't know. What do you think?
I think fans will be interested because I think they'll enjoy it. But I think the hardcore fans, the fans that really know about MMA, will be up in arms about it. And they will think it sucks. And yeah, I don't think they'll like it at all. But I still think Pereira Jones would make money. But I just think that I think enough people would kick up a stink about it that Dana wouldn't do it. But maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
Have to wait and see. Keeps proving them haters wrong.
He does. Oh, Paddy the baddie.
Look, I thought this was going to be a real difficult fight for him. I thought that he was going to come in flailing hands, head too high, and I thought Bobby might catch him with some big shots. Because King Green, generally's got fantastic hands. I thought Bobby Green was struggling with Paddy's stand-up. I thought that's why he shot.
I don't know what was going on. It was like Paddy, like I said in the preview show, Paddy's got to be all the way in or all the way out. And to begin with, just hit him with the kicks. Just use kicks. And he did. And he did it really well. And
Bobby
for
Green
some
threw
reason,
a lot of dirty kicks.
King Green didn't. just didn't close the distance. Didn't get into boxing range really with him.
I think he was just concentrating on having a chat.
He was just kicking a little bit, and he seemed to be getting frustrated. Maybe he was trying to close the distance and he couldn't, and he got very frustrated. Bobby Green shooting for a takedown here isn't quite as bad, but he's in the same category as Sean Strickland's game plan against Alex Pereira to just go, I'm just going to throw hands. I don't understand it. It seems, I don't want to say stupid, but it does seem a bit stupid. You Bobby Green, King Green, whatever. You're really good boxer, great head movement, good hands, volume striker. Why are you shooting for a takedown against a guy that's got lethal jiu-jitsu? And we all know it's not a secret. I know everyone in the UFC might be underestimating his jiu-jitsu or whatever, because we've only seen him have slugfests really up until this point. But he does have very good jiu-jitsu. You only have to watch some of his Cage Warriors fights and do a bit of homework to go, oh no, he is very good on the ground. So why the fuck do you shoot him for a takedown? I
think Moicano, he called out, obviously. I think that's the next fight. I think that will make sense. But I think he would look to that and just thought, right, I need to have a little think about my game plan, because that's fucking legit what he done.
But Moicano's also got good jiu-jitsu. But I'm just baffled. Can you think of a reason why Bobby went, oh yeah, I'm gonna shoot for a takedown here?
Maybe just, I don't know. Sometimes ego gets in the way and they want to just go, right, well look, I'll go into your back garden and see how you like it. And I don't know, we saw it with Leon against Usman, didn't we? Like, people want to beat them at their own game a little bit, and just kind of, even if they just plonk them on their arse once, they just want to go, yeah, see, I can do that. I've got your respect. I don't know.
The only thing
it was a fucking bad move.
Yeah, the only thing I think is he was frustrated. For some reason, he didn't feel like he could get into boxing range and throw hands with him. So he just got frustrated and tried something. And it was a terrible mistake. Really awful game plan from King Green. Did you see the walkouts?
Yeah.
Did you see King Green's walkout?
Yeah, I think so. Remind me.
He was taking his clothes off and throwing them into the crowd, but then he took his T-shirt off and someone from the crowd just nicked it from him. Did you see that? Like, he took, I don't know if it was like the hat went into the crowd, the jacket went into the crowd. He took his T-shirt off and was just holding it, and then a hand just came off from off screen and just went yoink, and just grabbed it, and he went, oh, okay. So I don't know if he was planning on throwing it into the crowd or what.
Oh, fantastic.
But someone mugged King Green on his way to the ring.
Oh, amazing.
Someone mugged him for his T-shirt on his way to the cage.
It weren't Cape, was it? Because he was trying to. Sorry, it weren't Makayev, because he was trying to rip clothes off people as well, wasn't he?
Which, I didn't see that. You have to inform me about that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, you didn't see him grab his shorts and literally.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Sorry.
We'll get to that. We've got lots of Makayev chat coming up.
Oh yeah. Oh my God.
Well,
look. Here's another thing. Paddy mentioned it was the last fight on his contract the other week. You're going back in for the Blackjacks, and yeah, I'm on
the Skittles. Do you want one?
I'm actually do want a Skittle. Yeah, this is great for our audience. But Paddy mentioned it was the last fight on his contract, and he re-signed prior to the fight. Now that the fight is over and he won it in such spectacular fashion, do you think that was a bad move? Because he could now ask for even more money, surely.
I think if you would have asked me that before the fight, I would have said just sign it. You're now getting top 15. Like, you're now in the danger zone. Like, but had he have, I don't know. I don't know how they put these contracts together, but I'm sure a win like that would have given him a little bit more bargaining power.
Yeah, it could have got him a few extra grand a fight, you know.
I mean, he got $200,000 bonus.
Oh my God, he did, didn't he? Was it Mick Parkin got a bonus? And they were 100K, weren't they?
Yeah.
But did you see Dana came out and said, I'm never doing that again?
Yeah.
Because he felt like the fight was lackluster. I mean, again, you are doing it at 5 a.m.
Yeah.
So maybe that's a factor. But yeah, Mick Parkin got 100K, which is, for someone like Mick Parkin, fucking great, isn't it?
Yeah, big up, big
great.
Mick. We'll get on the Mick.
And then and Aspinall, obviously, who probably doesn't need it now, although it's helpful. And then Paddy gets 200, Jesus. And Moicano is next, possibly, although that's just Paddy's suggestion. What do you reckon? Where's Moicano's actually booked up? Moicano is booked to fight Benoit Saint-Denis.
I mean, that's not a clear-cut win for fucking Moicano, mate.
Hell no. It's a
Nobody
great fight.
wants that smoke. Where's that, in Paris?
I don't know.
I'm sure that'd be on the Paris card, wouldn't it?
Oh my God, I've just seen that Max Holloway is ranked 9th in the lightweight division, which I did not realise. Yeah, if you're going to... Hang on, this is weird. Max Holloway is ranked 9th in the lightweight division, but he's just absolutely smashed Justin Gaethje, who's ranked 3rd. Like, just keep Max in the featherweight division or rank him above Justin, surely.
Yeah.
I don't know. Very odd that. I've only just noticed that. But anyway, Benoit Saint-Denis versus Renato Moicano is coming up soon. Does Paddy fight Moicano whether Moicano wins or loses? Or does he fight someone else?
Well, if he loses, he's going to...
Michael Chandler, if he doesn't get the Conor fight. No? Turning your nose up at that.
No, I mean, it's huge.
It's huge, isn't it?
Paddy's a superstar, isn't he?
Yeah.
Right, and that...
Is that like, if you're Michael Chandler, other than fighting for a belt, if you can't fight Conor because it just doesn't happen again, is Paddy the best you can get? Because also, you could probably say for Michael Chandler, it might be a winnable fight.
Oh, yeah, he'll go in there thinking, yeah. I don't know.
I don't know if we can just eat through this podcast, by the way.
No.
If you can hear Stu and you've just been doing us on audio, you can just hear Stu chomping.
We get the complaints
Stu
about eating near
chomping
mics.
away.
Apologies. Right. Okay.
Having said that, I still have some skills in my hands that are going in my mouth in a minute. So probably Moicano next. It'll be a fun build-up, won't it? That Moicano is a bit mental.
Yeah.
And he's a laugh. So, that could be fun. Do we move on next to Christian Rodriguez? Not Christian Rodriguez. Gregory Rodriguez and Christian Leroy Duncan.
Right, look, I don't want to say this was a bad night for Christian Leroy Duncan. I think he went in there with the best of intentions. Rodriguez looked incredible. Insane power. Like, who dominates a striker like Christian Leroy Duncan quite comfortably?
Yeah.
Like, and then just threw him around whenever he wanted. Like,
that's the thing. Like,
it was a bad night for Renegade.
I thought to myself that Rodriguez might, because he is like a jiu-jitsu black belt. He's very, very good, and we don't see it often. He usually just likes to throw hands with people. The smart game plan here was to take him down, and he did that really, really well. What really surprised me is in the striking exchanges, Rodriguez was actually, I think, winning the striking exchanges as well.
Definitely.
He just seemed to hit with more power. And it was way more basic. Like Christian Leroy Duncan, very flashy, exciting fighter, throws really great kicks, flying knees, all that kind of stuff. Rodriguez was just sort of your meat and potatoes.
When he got into that kind of like the distance for dirty boxing, it did not suit Christian Leroy Duncan, and it suited Rodriguez, his hands, and certainly his power. I was interested to why this fight was so high on the billing, because Christian Leroy Duncan, was it third fight in the UFC? Fourth?
Third or fourth, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, lost his first one, I believe.
Yep, and then...
and so I think Dana was really trying to hype him. And, I think the UFC really wanted to showcase Christian Leroy Duncan because he's got potential highlight reel because of his kind of, his flashy style. But, oh, my God, it was quite brutal. I was willing this fight to be over because he was just being beaten up. And, he's a young lad. I think he's 30. I think he's not too old yet for...
he's 29.
Right, 29. So, he's a middleweight, so he's still relatively young, but...
Yeah, and he actually won his debut in the UFC against Todorovic, but that was where the guy got injured.
Yeah.
And then he lost against Arman Petrosian, and then he went on a 2-fight win streak after that, and sadly now has lost against Gregory Rodriguez. Gregory Rodriguez called for a top 15 opponent. I don't have a problem with that, really. I think he's done well. He's now won, I think, 5 of his last 6. tends to get a lot of finishes as well.
Give him Jack Hermansson.
Jack Hermansson could be a good one. I'd love to see him throw hands with Paulo Costa.
Yeah, man.
And that'd be a fun fight. Or even like a Carl Borralho or someone like that, who was also at the event, I think, in the corner of Bruna Brazil. So, yeah, there's options for him there, and I hope he does get a top 15, because he's a fun fighter, Gregory Rodriguez. As I say, good jiu-jitsu and all that, but does throw hands. Leroy Duncan did cut him open bad with like an elbow at one point.
The picture
didn't he?
we got
He
up on
was
the screen,
bleeding all over the shop.
Soaked in blood, yeah.
Shall we move on to a friend of the show, one of my faves, Arnold Almighty Allen and Giga Chikadze. I felt like it took Arnold a while to get going. I think he lost that first round and it took him a little while to get going. And I do think he won. He did it on the feet, which is more appealing to the likes of Dana White and all that stuff. But man, the easiest path to victory was the takedowns, and he didn't shoot once, did he?
Nope. So I was worried in that first round. Giga's kick was just whipping in there, but Arnold did not drop his hands once. Every single one come off the gloves and the forearms, which just got really hurt as well.
Yep.
They're not 16-ounce gloves there. But his movement, Chikadze's movement, he just did not stop moving. I was thinking, mate, have you planned on knocking Arnold out quickly? Because you're going to run out of steam at this pace. Mm-hmm. And Arnold was just walking him down, cutting off the octagon and getting better and better at it. I thought Arnold comfortably won the second round, and I thought he dominated in the third. Chikadze in the third was gassed.
I thought he definitely won the third. I thought the second was actually a bit close.
Yeah.
And then there was that moment after the second that Faraz Sahabi was in the corner going, it's 2-0 to you. I was like, is it? I felt like there was an argument for 1-1 or maybe even 2-0 Giga at that point. I was really surprised by the cornering, but obviously, I think they were right. I haven't got the judges' scorecards in front of me, but I'm assuming that they were correct. But
and rumours of Chikadze was gunning for Arnold, wasn't he? Saying he sent spies to my camp. You not heard this?
Really?
Yeah. Have you not heard any of this?
I've not heard any of
this was all the stuff leading up to it, saying that Arnold has sent spies to his camp, and Arnold's obviously denying it. Don't strike me as that's Arnold Allen's style.
Not at all.
And you look at the people in his corner. You got Pacer, and it's not his style. And obviously, former guest of the show, Jack Stone.
Yeah.
They're not them kind of dudes.
No, I mean, look, maybe it's in vogue now to say that stuff after the whole MVP Ian Gary thing. I think with the MVP thing, I'm not sure. I'm hoping he wasn't involved in anything like that, but I'm not sure because just the way he responded at the press conference, all that stuff, it just makes me think there might be something going on there. I'm just not sure. When it comes to Arnold, I haven't seen this stuff and the response, but I can't imagine it at all from Arnold.
No.
It's just not his vibe. It's not his way.
No.
And also, if you were the type of guy to send spies into someone else's camp, you don't need spies for Giga. You know exactly what he's going to do.
Yeah.
And you know exactly the easiest way to deal with Giga is to take him down and put him on his back. And Arnold didn't do that once. So
do you think?
That's the way Arnold fought is not the game plan of someone that's had loads of spies in his camp and been really thinking, how can I win this without a shadow of a doubt and just always... Because if he was doing that, he would have taken him down.
But do you think he was reluctant to take him down after Dana sort of said his last fight was boring?
Maybe, but it wasn't boring. That was weird from Dana because that was a really interesting fight.
That Arnold won.
That I think Arnold won, absolutely. So, yeah, I don't know.
I want to know what's next for him. Because,
strange.
In my mind, he beat Mobsar and gave Max Holloway probably the best fight he's had in a long time. I thought Arnold gave Max a better fight than Justin Gaethje.
Maybe, yeah.
So, what do we see as next for Arnold now? Because Chikadze's not ranked above him, so it's not really going to do his
No,
placement.
he's still ranked 6. I would like to see him fight like a Yair Rodriguez or a Brian Ortega, but Brian Ortega, as far as I'm aware, is fighting...
He's fighting at the Sphere.
At the Sphere against Diego Lopez. Does Yair have a fight booked? Because if he doesn't, that's the fight I'd like to see. Because that maybe could have been the fight for the interim title way back when. Yeah, Yair doesn't have a fight booked. So I'd maybe like to see Arnold Allen versus Yair Rodriguez.
Do you think they're going to give Yair to Volk?
No, I don't know why you would. Volk's dealt with him pretty easily before.
What's for Volk then?
Probably the belt at some point. Unless he goes up to lightweight, yeah.
Like, I don't think Volk's going to get that rematch anytime soon with Poirier.
I think it's going to be Poirier versus Max, but I think Volk can sit out for ages and then just fight Poirier or Max afterwards.
Yeah.
Or Volk could go up to lightweight and have a fun fight with, I don't know, a Dustin Poirier, a Justin Gaethje, a Charles Oliveira. Like, he could do any of those types of fights. A Michael Chandler, if the Conor fight doesn't happen. I think there's plenty of fights for Volk up at lightweight if he wants to go down that route.
But does Yair want Arnold Allen? Does Yair look at that fight and go, well, he's ranked 6th. Like, why am I fighting behind me? You know,
because you're on a 2-fight losing streak, mate. So you can't tell us what you want.
So what's for Movsar then?
Because let's see, the Yair Rodriguez is on a 2-fight losing streak. Above him is Brian Ortega, lost to him. Max Holloway, lost to him. Alexander Volkanovski, lost to him. And Poirier is a champ, you're not getting that fight. So behind him is Movsar Evloev, who I don't think he would like, and then Arnold Allen. So Arnold Allen might be the best fight Yair Rodriguez can get at the moment.
I've got a feeling they're going to give Arnold Josh Emmett.
Well, that's a fight I'd like. Mm-hmm. I'm up for that fight. I have no problem with that. I think that's a really good fight.
We need to get Arnold back down here. We need to get him back down. Once he's rested up, we'll have another catch up with him.
I'd like Yair Rodriguez. I think that's the right fight for Arnold, but I wouldn't be surprised if not getting a finish against Giga on a card that Dana has moaned about and said, oh, that's why we're not doing any more extra money on bonuses because of the UFC 304 and stuff like that. It makes me think he might have to defend his position. And he might find himself in a rematch with Calvin Kattar or up against Aljamain Sterling. Although I think is Sterling fighting Evloev. Or am I making that up?
I'm not sure.
I don't know. I feel like Sterling might be, but let me just look it up. But I think it's very possible that Arnold Allen could have to defend his position. Yes, Sterling is fighting Movsar Evloev at UFC 307. So that will be coming up. Which means that, you know, as we said, Poirier champ, probably fighting Max. Volk, he's going to fight specific people, I guess. Unless there's an Australia card that Volk will get on at some point. I know that the next pay-per-view is Australia, so he won't fight on that. Maybe if there's a February in Perth or something like that, and Volk just really wants to fight, maybe Arnold can fight Volk. I mean, it'd be a fun fight. It'd be a good fight. But Brian Ortega's booked. Holloway's probably going to be booked very soon. Yair Rodriguez we're not sure. Evloev's booked to fight Aljamain Sterling. So there's Josh Emmett maybe. Arnold Allen could do a rematch with Calvin Kattar because Calvin could say, I got injured early in that fight. I mean, England v. England.
Lerone Murphy, mate. He's going to be wanting a big fight now.
He's going to be wanting a big fight. It would be weird to see Arnold Allen versus Lerone Murphy anywhere other than the UK. And I don't think Lerone's going to be waiting around till March of next year.
No chance.
So I think I want to see Lerone fight someone else before then. But yeah, we don't know. And you never know with Arnold. Hopefully he's injury-free. That's been something that's plagued him for a lot of his career. Yeah. Hopefully he's injury-free. And I just want to see him fight Yair Rodriguez. That's the fight to make as far as I'm concerned.
Well, look, I mean, we've been talking about Lerone Murphy there, who wants to fight. The fight that we thought we was going to get that we never got was against Nathaniel Wood. Obviously, Nathaniel's moved up in weight now and continued his winning streak this Saturday. Just one of the nicest people you ever likely to meet.
Yeah.
And yeah, just had a real tough time of it with his baby. And let's hope everything's all right. And yeah, onwards and upwards for Nathaniel Wood. Like, I'm just great to see him get a win in the UK. Mm-hmm. He was on the end of a rough decision. Was it his last fight or fight before that?
I think it was a fight. It was the last fight, I think, against Naimov, where It wasn't that it was a rough decision. It was the reffing.
No, the reffing was rough.
He was just
everything. He was not getting pulled
should have
on
been
anything.
points taken away and stuff. It was really, really odd against Naimov. I didn't like it at all. But this fight, he did lose the third round, I would say, which probably hurts his cause moving forward. But that first round and second round, he was hurting Pineda everywhere.
Yeah.
It was like Pineda couldn't stand properly because he'd been chopping his legs. Pineda crumbled to the floor at one point because he hit him so hard to the body. And he gave him hooks to the face as well. Like there was not a part of Pineda's body that Nathaniel Wood didn't really damage him with.
Yeah.
And that to me was really impressive. The fact that if the fight had been a 5-round fight, there's a possibility that Pineda, if Wood had stuck with the legs, he wouldn't have been able to walk. Stuck with the body, he would have crumbled. Stuck with the head, would have knocked him out. Like he did such great work in those first 2 rounds, and then unfortunately the third round, Pineda took it. What felt harsh was that there was no little chat for him afterwards. He didn't get any mic time, and I didn't like that. I would have liked him to get some mic time, and I think he could have, appealed to people, not necessarily intense, but just told his story about his daughter and who the fight was for, and I think that would have moved people and made people gravitate towards him. He's always a fun fighter. Dustin Poirier even did a tweet in the middle of the fight saying these two are always fun to watch. Stuff like that. I think you should be giving him a little bit more time to try and grow his fan base a bit.
Absolutely.
I don't know what's next for him. I imagine it will still be an unranked opponent because he needs to get maybe another win under his belt before he can look up at the rankings again. But since moving to featherweight, what's he now? 4-1?
But let's one more win and then let's see him against someone ranked in London.
That's what I'd like to see. Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
All right. This is oddly maybe the biggest talking point of UFC 304. We've now moved on to Mohamed Mokaev because, to begin with...
Finally, something interesting's happened.
Well, did you see all the stuff pre-fight?
Yeah.
So my
I saw a
understanding
meme
of it
today,
is...
a video of 2 dogs that were either side of a fence going
I
mental
sent
at
you
each
that.
other. Was it you that sent me it?
Yeah.
And then they just lift the fence up and they both just go, oh, and they just walk off.
And then the fence shuts again and they're back at it. Yeah.
It's like, the scrap outside, I couldn't really make head nor tail of it. The scrap outside the hotel door or whatever, the first one.
I want to talk about this kind of stuff.
And then obviously we saw at the ceremonials, I don't think Mokaev even got on the scales at the ceremonials. He just went running out, didn't he?
Yeah.
And then before the actual fight itself, they're all running around the octagon, getting split up. And then, fuck me, what a bore fest.
Well, look, I think we need to go at this in a bit more detail from earlier on. And my understanding, and I might not be 100% correct in all of this, but my understanding, you're going back in for the blackjacks. You know I'm about to go on a rant, don't you? So you're like, this is my talking, just have a nibble.
It's got the popcorn now.
So my understanding is there was an altercation at the PI. Manel Cap had said to him, it's on site. Something had gone on previously between the two of them. And they were at the PI in Vegas. And I think Cap went up to him and they had a little scrap. Not good. Bad behaviour on Cap's part, all that stuff. But as far as I'm aware, from what I'm hearing, Cap sort of warned him, this is going to happen. He saw him. They got into it. It happened. It was 2 men having a scrap. Shouldn't have happened. It's not right, but it happened. Then what's happened in the hotel in Manchester, according to Eric Nixick, who I think seems like a good dude and a nice guy, no reason for him to lie, according to Manel Cap, and then sort of confirmed by Mokaev in his post-fight chat, was that Mokaev went up to Manel Cap and said, for our Muslim brothers, let's do a photo together, for our faith, for, showing that there's peace. There's peace. And Manel Cap went, all right then. After the photo's taken, Mokaev just sucker punches him. Just smashes him. What? Why?
Wow, I did not know this.
Yeah, this is the story I have heard. Eric Nixick has talked about it. Manel Cap tweeted about it, and Mokaev basically confirmed it in the post-fight chat that he had with the media. He's gone up to Manel Kape, a fellow Muslim, and said to him, for our Muslim brothers, like, let's show it. Like, I'm not a religious man, but if you are someone using your faith, and I couldn't give a shit if it's Christianity, Judaism, Islam, Jediism, I don't care. If someone shares your faith and you're using that and the kind of teachings of that to say...
To lure someone.
To promote peace and to lure someone into sucker punching them, that is scumbag behaviour, man. That's not good. I'm not a fan of that at all. Yeah, I'm not down with it at all. I think it's really horrible stuff to do. And again, I'm not even a religious person. But if you are listening to this show and you're a Christian or you're a Muslim or you're Jewish or whatever it is that you are, is that okay? To use your faith as a way to lure someone into sucker punching them? That's really dodgy to me. I don't know. I mean, again, as someone that's not religious, maybe I don't get it.
That's fucking disgusting.
It seems pretty gross to me.
Like, irrelevant of that, like luring someone in to say, let's just have a fight, and then sucker punching them, you know, faith aside, that's still a dog move.
It's a dog move. And I think he basically came out and said, yeah, because previously Manel Kape has done this, that or the other, so I did that to him. And it's like... I mean, he's only 23 years old, but I wouldn't have done that at 23, so I don't think you should just give people a pass because of their age.
Professional sportsperson.
I mean, the man's been through a lot. Like, a refugee, has come to England, has then, you know, made a name for himself, one of the youngest kind of UFC fighters and potential champions and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, to have that... To have a situation in the cage as well where security have to be in the cage to deal with you, which, all right, it does get some fans excited. And when you're at home, you're like, oh, it's going to kick off. This fight's going to be great. But it's not a good look for the sport, right, is it? Like, we're watching the Olympics at home and stuff at the moment. Most of them, not all, but most of these Olympians are probably fantastic role models that will never get good wages, that will, you know, probably not get the sponsorships they should get, all that kind of stuff. But probably, most of them, not all, great role models. To see these two having to be separated by security, you're about to fight each other in literally 2.5 minutes. 2.5 minutes, you do whatever you want to each other, and you have to be held back by security. And then, when the fight takes place...
Don't touch each other for 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Like,
it was a weird one, man.
Do you know what I think? I think Makayev just looked at the footage of Conor when he was fighting Khabib, all of that, and just how many views, I guess, how much hype that got Conor. And I think, do you know what? Did he just think, right, look, my fight style is so mind-numbingly boring that this hype train I'm on, people are losing interest because I'm not getting exciting finishes. And I've been saying it for a while now, and I know that you've been generally trying to kind of be a bit more balanced but look, I'm not a fan of all of this kind of scrapping. When they went at it at the ceremonials, I was like, ooh.
Yeah.
Like, and I was just thinking, I'm now so hyped for this fight.
Yep.
Because Cape said some fucking dumb shit as well.
Oh yeah, Cape's not innocent in all of this. I'm not a fan of Manel Kape at all.
And then you then see when they're gunning for each other at the but before the fight's even started in the octagon, I was just like, and Bisping or something, I just said something along the lines of like, strap in, like, and then oh my god, I mean, also most importantly, I thought he lost that fight.
A lot of people do. I think a lot of media members scored it for Kape. I don't think I did. I think I think round one I just wrote very little action. Either way, this is so lame after the security, I think, to separate them. Those were my notes for round one. Then round two, obviously Kape broke his toe, didn't he?
That did not look good.
It didn't look good. But I gave that round, I think, to Makayev, and then I thought round three was very close, but I think I gave that to Makayev as well. So I think I did score it for Makayev, but... Yeah.
Word must have got through to the UFC about all of this stuff that's been going on, because clearly they must have known about what had happened at the PI.
Yep.
And then they've obviously heard what's happened at this hotel. I don't think they're the biggest fan of Mikhaev.
They're clearly not.
And they knew his contract was up. Let's see what's around the corner. And then that happens. They kick off before it kicks off. And then when it does, fuck all happens.
Well, did you hear that Mikhaev said that he was told by matchmakers, stop wrestling?
Well, start striking then.
Well, to be fair, he did try and he threw some kicks. He did spinning wheel kick at one point, didn't he? And then, I don't think the fight was that bad. I think the problem was that there was such a build-up to it and all that. But round one was boring.
That's not two fighters that want to fucking take each other's heads off. One of which is my UFC contracts up.
No, I think Cap should have done better really because he was able to sprawl and avoid takedowns a lot. He was very athletic, really quick, and I think he could have put it on him a little bit more and still been able to avoid the takedowns really.
It's weird, isn't it?
The other thing
go on, sorry.
No, the other thing we have to focus on as well is that in and amongst all of this, the shorts grab was terrible. And then Beltran just... If Manel Cap hadn't moaned so, obviously and so much in that period of time just after his shorts were grabbed, Beltran would have just let it all carry on.
Yeah.
He wouldn't have done anything. Manel Cap had to moan for ages because I think I even saw Cap say, the shorts, whatever, and Beltran saw it, but then he sort of said, oh, carry on. And then Manel Cap said, I've lost the position.
Yeah.
And then Beltran went, oh, yeah, all right, then stop. And then he let him get up, put his shorts back on properly, and he did take away the position. But had Manel Cap not gone, I've lost the position, then Beltran would have just let it carry on.
Yeah.
There's a big problem at the moment, I think, with referees not doing anything.
The mic'd up version of what Beltran's saying whilst that was going on?
No.
You can hear him and he's clapping, he's going off, 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 off. And he was just flicking some dollar bills at Mackay.
Oh my God.
Oh mate, it was disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. And I mean, all of this has just gone in the pot, and I mean, it has bit him well and truly on the arse, hasn't it? Because
well, it has. Yeah, go on.
Dana's essentially just said, no, we don't want him.
We're not re-signing him. That was the last fight on his contract.
That feels a bit crazy because...
It was a bit harsh, but...
Well, you just don't know what else has happened because they clearly don't like him because they could have given him a title shot a while ago, I think, and they've clearly just overlooked him. When Usyk got the shot, it was like... Mikhaev, but maybe they were showing Mikhaev that Usyk does this fucking fantastic knockout. This is what we want. But I mean, Dana disagreed with that. He was told not to.
He did. He was very sarcastically saying, "Oh yeah, that's what we do. We tell fighters how to fight." Blah blah blah. He did say the matchmakers don't like him. Now that makes me think something else is going on behind the scenes. It's not just his style, but clearly, the antics aren't good. To sucker punch someone and start a bit of a brawl in a hotel. I mean...
Well, look at the last person to sucker punch anyone in the UFC.
Who was talking?
Daly. When he... then gone.
Yeah.
But that was in the octagon.
Yeah. So, I mean, he's not got a great fight style. Audiences haven't, really gravitated towards him massively.
I think
he had a moment in the cage as well where he was like, Manchester, shout for me if you think I deserve a new contract. And it sounded a bit lackluster in response. It didn't sound like he got a woo or anything like that. It felt a bit like,
Well, why would anyone be excited to see him fight again? Because it was a boring fight. I think the hype around him was really exciting when he came into the UFC. And I'm not hating on him because I've never been a big supporter of him. Because his fight style doesn't excite me.
Yep.
And every time he fights, I just think, I like the fact that he keeps winning, but I don't ever just think, I can't wait to watch Mikhaev fight until this fight. And this was the worst one.
I don't think it was the worst one. And I do think his striking looked better in general because Cap is a good striker. But,
they basically said, the PFL are about to get a new fighter.
Well, that's what Dana's quote was. Dana's quote was, PFL are going to get a great undefeated guy. Matchmakers don't like him. And he said it's not just fight style or money, it's other things. So is he someone that is picky about fights? Is he turning down fights? Maybe he is asking for too much money. I don't know, but this is a real message.
Has he got the same manager as Leon?
I believe so.
Yeah.
I'm not 100% sure, but I believe so. If
God,
Tim Simpson,
Tim's had a bad night.
Oh, yeah, hasn't he? Jesus. If you are... Yeah, I don't know, man. Where do you go? Because the other thing is, he says, PFL are going to get a great undefeated guy. PFL don't have a flyweight division. So...
Octagon, baby.
He'll have to move up to bantamweight and fight in Bellator, because PFL don't even have a bantamweight division. They've got the Bellator Championship Series or whatever it is, where Patchy Mix is the champion. And I tell you what, Mikhail versus Patchy Mix could be a fun fight, but...
Who's going to watch it?
Well, whoever watches Bellator, I guess.
There you go.
There you go. But I think that I'd be interested to know who wins that fight.
I'd be more interested to know what he's done to piss people off.
I really do want to know. Like, there must be something. There must be something more. He's not the first guy to cause problems backstage. He's not the first guy to have a boring fight style. And I actually think people overdo the whole boring fight style thing. I think he's still, he has moments where he is exciting. But yeah, there's something's going on. He's only 23 years of age. If he went to, for example, Bellator or Octagon or wherever for 2 or 3 years and came back to UFC at 26, he might go into it very differently. I don't know, but I don't think anyone saw this coming.
No, I didn't.
No one's... Sure, you can complain about Mikhail. Maybe he would have got beat, maybe this, maybe that. But... to say, the UFC are just not going to re-sign him, that's quite something.
For it to come out in post-fight, that's brutal.
They've removed him from the rankings already. He's not in the flyweight rankings anymore. And apparently, something went... Again, I'm seeing this on Twitter, and maybe I've been hoodwinked. But I've seen people that have done their rankings, there was a message sent out saying... He's been removed from the rankings, so if you've ranked him, can you go back and do it again? I'm going to have a little look now, because I know that usually the rankings and things are redone on like Monday America time, which means we don't see it till Tuesday. But yeah, Mohammed Mikhail at the moment is still ranked 6 on the UFC rankings as it stands. But I've seen a lot of stuff on the socials saying when the rankings are redone, so maybe this time tomorrow, we would look at the rankings and Mohammed Mikhail's name would not be there.
Crazy.
So, yeah. Biggest winner of that, Tatsuro Taira. Tatsuro Taira's probably looking at a title shot now.
Another person who had a bad night.
I am very happy, thank you. Tatsuro Taira.
Meatball had a rough night.
Oh, poor Meatball.
She's come out and said that she's going to take some time out for her mental and physical health.
Yeah.
She looked in spectacular nick.
She looked in great shape.
As did Paddy.
Yes,
exactly. They both looked in really good shape. Was hoping that this, this change of division was going to really suit Molly, but she got dominated, absolutely dominated. What
toughness she showed. I know it's never a great sign when you're talking about fighters' toughness, but those knees to the body, kicks to the body. She crumbled a couple of times, but then stuck with it, tried to get a takedown and push her up against the fence and all that stuff. She was outclassed, she just was. But Molly McCann is one of the toughest fighters. Even though moments like that are tough and you kind of lose a bit of maybe she's not as good as she was or something like that, that toughness still being there is part of who Molly is, and it's part of her lure to fans as a fighter. The fact that, she's not got an elite level skill set in any discipline, but she is so tough and she is so willing to just scrap. I think fans love that. And I think Molly's maybe just on a completely different journey to like the likes of Paddy right now. Paddy is flying up the rankings, and he probably has dreams of being a UFC champion. Molly McCann, I think, probably has to accept that she is someone that can still put bums on seats. Fans will still want to see her complete her journey, however that looks. But it's not going to be up the rankings. It's not going to be for belts. What you can do is maybe you can go a little bit Cowboy Cerrone or something.
Absolutely.
And just go, I'm just going to fight anyone, whatever. I'll do it at strawweight. I'll do it at flyweight. I'll just do fights. And I'll fight people that are largely probably unranked. But then, you know, we'll just have fun scraps. And that's what we'll do.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, been a big supporter of this show from the very start. And, you know, I've had her on a few times. I went up to London and hung out with her. And she's, absolutely wonderful human is Molly. So rest up and look forward to seeing what you decide to do. Another top bloke who's popped in the studio a little while ago, Sam Patterson. That boy looked good.
He looked very, very good. Got that arm triangle finish over Kiefer Crosby, who... I don't know. I think I've heard some stuff, but I've not actually seen it for myself, so I might be speaking out of turn. Was Kiefer giving it a little bit of trash talk in the lead up to this fight?
Yeah, he said, look, we can verify this. That Sam said, I'm a quiet, humble, respectful guy.
Yeah,
absolutely is. He said, just don't talk smack about me. And he said, and he spoke a lot of smack about me. And well, there was some serious smacking done on Saturday, and. Yeah, Kiefer.
He made it look kind of easy, didn't he?
Yeah, and I was really pleased to hear DC and Bisping and Anik talk about the fact that because he didn't come from Cage Warriors, you know, he's come a very different path. And I think he said there was so much hype around this lad. And because I think we were more sort of watching the fighters coming through Cage Warriors, we didn't sort of see him until like he fought in London and had a really bad debut and got knocked out bad. But he's changed weight groups since then. And I think it suits him. I think he looks absolutely fantastic and has looked really good in his last two fights. And the pundits were all bigging him up, just saying this is what we expected from Sam Patterson, and now we're seeing it. And exciting.
What I really like is how he talked about watching fights back or whatever and hearing the pundits saying, look at him with his chin in the air, and a lot of tall guys. And I think they even said in this fight that a lot of tall guys naturally just want to move away like that and have their chin in the air. And Sam said he went to the gym and he worked and worked and worked on trying to keep that chin down and not have it in the air and all those things, which maybe sounds basic to some people, but, you know, different people have their own little flaws and things that they have to iron out. And he seems to have done that, but at least be working towards making that not a hole in his game anymore. And I think that shows a lot of maturity and desire, and I'm all for that. You know, we know he's a very good grappler. He's got those long arms. He can really wrap people up in chokes well, and he's done it in the last two fights now. But yeah, I'd be really excited to see where he goes from here.
Absolutely. Now, this fella here, Modestas Bukakis, I'll tell you where he's been. He's been training with the big boys. He's been training with Big Nick and Big Tom.
Good night for their gym.
What a great night for their gym.
Yeah.
Modestas. I mean, what's the guy's name? Marcin Puccino. That guy wanted it. Yeah. He come out and his kicks looked awesome. He gassed.
Yeah.
He come out for the first sort of round and a half, looking really dangerous.
Yep.
Modestas, bit down on the gum shield and got through it, and love it, absolutely love it.
He had that moment where he rocked him, backed him against the fence, and then Puccino just came up with that kick from really close range.
Where did that come from? How did he get that in?
It was like question mark, isn't it? Yeah,
they're big boys.
It was a great kick. But landed like right on the jaw and the neck, didn't it? And it just rattled him a bit. But came back well and then got that finish in the third round. Arm triangle again.
Yeah.
Really good stuff.
Again, if you've not listened to our chat with Modestas, go find it in the archive, because he's a lovely bloke, isn't he?
They all are. As I say, we've had Sam Patterson, Modestas Bukakis, obviously Molly that we spoke about earlier, Arnold Allen,
Paddy,
Tom Aspinall. Like we've had them all on. Arnold Allen as I don't know if I've just already said that, but yeah, we've had loads of them on, and they're all really great guys. And another guy that I think we're gonna move on to is Mick Parkin, who was a
Soft
lovely chap. Yeah, his parents or whatever didn't think he'd be a fighter because he was too soft.
Yeah.
Look at him now, knocking people out in the UFC.
100 G's in his back pocket.
100 G's in his back pocket. Good lad, Mick Parkin. Love to see it.
I bet
10-0.
Big Mick took the family for a Sunday carvery yesterday.
Oh, I hope so.
All in.
I
Just get yourself
hope so.
down, Toby. Big Mick's having 3 plates.
Oh, mate, you could probably buy like a 4-bed house for 100 grand up in Sunderland or whatever, can't you?
I mean, what a dude
It
he
ain't
was.
London prices, is it? But yeah, he's a lovely lad, Mick Parkin. I really, really like him, and that's really good because this is his first UFC finish, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's had a few decisions.
Did he fight Usman's brother?
He fought
last
Mohammed
time out?
Usman.
Yeah.
He fought 1 or 2 guys prior to that as well. And it was decision. And now he's got that knockout.
Yeah.
And I'm just hoping this leads to him kind of gaining confidence
yeah.
and getting that knockout in. But yeah, man, you'd love to see it. I mean, 2 heavyweights from the same gym tearing it up in the UFC. So is that his 3rd UFC win now, Mick Parkin?
Or is that his 4th?
Or is it his 4th? Because I'm going to have to look it up now. Because if that's his 4th, surely he's not far away from getting a ranked opponent. Let's have a look. He's 10-0 in the UFC. So, I mean, he's still, relatively young in his UFC career. But that is his 4th
yeah.
UFC win after coming onto the Contender Series. I mean, I don't know who it should be next for him. Maybe he fights one more unranked guy. But if he's 11-0 and on a 5-fight UFC win streak, especially if he can knock another guy out and get 2 finishes back-to-back, I think you've got to throw this guy into the rankings, haven't you?
And all the time he's training up with Aspinall, and they're talking about that gym evolving. You've got, Modestus up there, but you've got fighters coming in from all over the world now, big boys. Like, he's going to get high level training, and he's only going to get better and better. And
I mean, we could see a situation where we've got Tom Aspinall as the champ and Mick Parkin in the top 5.
Yeah.
1 or 2 fights away from fighting for the belt, something like that. Like, could be really fascinating stuff for UK MMA. But yeah, and I'm looking at the bottom rankings of that Alexander Romanov, Marco Rogerio de Lima, Rodrigo Nascimento.
them fights ain't far away, mate.
I'm not seeing anyone that I go, oh, that's way too much for Mick. I mean, don't get me wrong, he might lose, but yeah, I think maybe 1 fight away from a ranked opponent, 1 win away from a ranked opponent.
I hope so. Tidy.
Ah, you got to love Oban Elliott. Oban Elliott, Richard Shaw, love it. Won by decision, but looked pretty comfortable for the whole fight.
Mate.
Did really well in the grappling, in the boxing. Just did well everywhere.
People love him.
People love him.
And we've met him enough to know why. Because he's got bundles of energy.
Yep.
His heart's in the right place.
Oh, man.
And what I like about him, right? Look at his face. He's living the dream.
He's living. That's it. And he said that in a post. I'm really impressed. He's like, you're making a little boy's dreams come true right now. He is living the dream. The story about his dad that sadly passed away, and the fact that he's fighting for him and all that stuff. Like, it gets me. And he's such an emotional guy. Like, he wears his heart on his sleeve. Like, he's cried on our show. I think he's cried on Helwani's show. Like,
I mean, the first time we had him on, we should point out he was in a back room because he was a school caretaker, and he was in the back room, wasn't he, trying to do it on the quiet.
And he got told off by one of the teachers, didn't he? That was so funny.
That's the Welsh gangster getting told off by a teacher.
And then the next time we chatted to him, he was in his car because he was working the railways.
Yeah.
And now he's in the UFC.
Yeah.
2 fights in the UFC, 2 wins.
Living his fucking dream.
Oh, man. It's stories like that you just go, man, I love this sport.
Absolutely.
Love this sport for people like Oban Elliott and seeing them living their dreams. I mean, look, he's only 2 fights in. We're not talking any kind of ranked opponents anytime soon. Just keep getting wins, keep gaining that experience. And we'll just see where it goes because he's a charismatic guy. People like him. And
like you say, that heart on sleeve, like people love it. People just like...
He got mic time.
Yeah.
He won a decision, like Nathaniel Wood did.
Yeah.
He won a decision, but he got mic time.
Yeah.
And there's just clearly something about him that the UFC are clearly seeing in him and going, this guy might have a little something for us.
Yeah. Well, they want to create characters, don't they? And
do.
he's got that formed character fully formed already.
Yep. 100%.
And why not market it? So this was an interesting one.
Yeah, man.
So Loughran was meant to... Who was he meant to be fighting? I can't think.
Tavares? Someone Tavares?
Yeah.
Not Brad Tavares, obviously, because that's a middleweight.
And then...
Raymond Tavares?
I think it was.
Yeah.
And then basically that... he pulled out. And so on 8 days' notice, Jake Hadley... I mean, we had both of these on the show. Jake took the fight.
Yeah. Missed weight. Did miss weight.
Yeah.
But hopefully the 8 days notice gives him some grace period, but it was up a weight class from normally would. So I don't know how the matchmakers will see that, because if we look back on that Contender Series, apparently the matchmakers didn't want to sign him, but Dana overruled them and signed him. And, you know, you're sort of, you're climbing an uphill battle at that point, trying to convince people that you are the real deal and someone that they can work with as well. Because I don't believe it was like a worry about his talent and more a worry about just something that was going on outside of the cage and stuff like that. So he's got to keep his nose clean. He's got to do performances, because has he lost 2 on the bounce prior to this fight?
I think he might have won his last one, but did he lose the 2 before that? Let's have a look. I might be wrong. Where's the fight? Let's have a look. Jake Hadley. Okay, let's have a little look here.
Yeah, he'd lost 2 on the bounce, Cody Durden and Charles Johnson. So he...
oh, it was his last 2, yeah.
He came into the UFC, lost his debut, then won 2, and got 2 finishes as well. All was looking good, and then he lost 2 decisions on the bounce to Cody Durden and Charles Johnson. And now he's got this kind of last minute or late notice replacement fight, and he's beaten Kalen Loughran by decision. I think he needed to win this, because with the drama that happened around that Contender Series, and clearly people aren't huge fans of his, if he was on a 3-fight losing streak, I think he'd be in big, big trouble, and I think he could have got cut. But now, I don't know if he's got many fights left on his contract or what the situation is, but...
He's just done the UFC a big favour.
He's done the UFC a favour. Granted, it would look better had he made weight. But this is where we're at.
I mean, this ain't looking good for like Kalen Loughran, is it? Like,
no, is that 2 losses on the bounce?
No, he lost his debut,
so
and he won a
lost
decision.
one, lost
just
one.
lost this one.
But yeah, not great.
He's got, I mean this with respect, he's got a big mouth.
Yeah.
You know, on his debut, he come out and he was giving the fingers to the crowd.
Paris hated him, didn't they?
Absolutely hated him. And then, did you see the stuff on the bus on the way to the
with Paddy? Yeah,
and he was giving it to Paddy. And then I've seen Paul Hughes has chirped him with saying to Paddy, keep my name out your mouth.
My understanding of the story is that Kalen, in a media interview a week before, had basically been saying that, like, Paddy and Molly are not good fighters. Then something's happened on the bus where maybe Paddy did this pointedly, or maybe he was just chatting. But he said something in earshot of Kalen Loughran that was something like, good to see Jordan Vucenic getting into UFC, which is great to see. Good, best luck, Jordan Vucenic, who I think fights on Saturday. He's coming last minute, and he's fighting Guram Kutaladze, who's very, very good. If he beats Guram Kutaladze, Jordan Vucenic, like, could do incredibly well in the UFC, because Kutaladze is a very, very good fighter.
So is Jordan Vucenic.
But so is Jordan Vucenic. So we really can't wait to see Jordan Vucenic do well. Fingers crossed he does really well.
So
I believe
Paddy
it's
said
in Abu Dhabi. But he said, good to see Jordan Vucenic get signed to UFC. Isn't it interesting that Vucenic and Charrier have been signed to the UFC and Paul Hughes had to go to the PFL?
I mean, that's a perfectly rational thing to say. Whether he was saying in earshot to get a...
well, who knows? With Paddy, I don't know.
But we've all said it. We all was like, what's going on with Paul Hughes?
Yeah.
Why is he not signed to the UFC?
Yeah. Well, look, that's what's happened. And Kalen Loughran said, again, according to, I believe it was Paddy's post-fight press conference, Kalen Loughran said something to Paddy of like, Paul Hughes would smoke you. And then Paddy just went off. And he was just like, stop saying shit about Luke Riley. Luke Riley would smoke you. Nathan Fletcher already has. Nathan Fletcher's already done you. your sausage.
Yeah.
And I believe he called him Major Chip Hazard, which... Do you get that reference?
No.
It's the guy from Small Soldiers. Did you?
Yeah.
Probably a bit before your time.
Yeah, no,
Did you
I know.
watch Small Soldiers?
Yeah.
The Tommy Lee Jones, the character Tommy Lee Jones voices. Major Chip Hazard, which I thought was quite a good line. I mean, he does. Like they spoke about it on the broadcast. Caelan Loughran has a very big head and neck. Like if you trying to design a face that can take a punch.
Yeah.
That is what you design.
Yeah, absolutely.
The problem was he couldn't get out of the way of Jake Hadley's punches. And Jake Hadley, I think I had him down as winning a 30-27 in that fight. Jake Hadley was all over him. Going back on track, does Jake Hadley
had the best night.
He
He's
had a
just stepped
great
in
night.
last minute, won that, and Makayev's been cut from the UFC. That's a great night for him.
I didn't put that together, but you're absolutely right. Jake Hadley's loving life at the moment. Do you reckon he stays at bantamweight? He looked good. And if he can't make weight at bantamweight, I know it was only 8 days' notice.
Yeah.
I know. But has he struggled with weight in the past? I don't want to cast aspersions, but I believe he might have done.
Right.
I believe Jake Hadley may have missed weight in his previous fights. But do you know what? Yeah, I want to say Mitch Raposo on the Contender Series. That was it. So actually, his other UFC fights, I believe he made weight every time.
Yeah.
But I think Mitch Raposo on the Contender Series was a fight that he might have missed weight, which again, if you're the matchmakers, this is a UFC Contender Series. This is your chance at a contract. Don't miss weight. Yeah, he weighed in at 127. But he looked fantastic. Maybe he stays at flyweight because he has made weight in his UFC fights, which is, the main thing. But maybe he goes up to bantamweight. Maybe this is a good weight class for him. He looked very, very good.
Absolutely. Well, I think Sean O'Bannon got a decision win to open the card as well. Have I missed any other fights from there?
Oh, mate, there were so many fights. I think we've got through them all.
I think we have. And, but yeah, just super hyped to see what's next for Tom. But
I really hope we get the John Jones fight. I reckon it's not going to happen, but imagine if John Jones beats Stipe and he's like, yeah, fuck it.
Yeah.
Tom Aspinall, you think you're the best, see you in April or whatever it is. And we're like, and we just get that fight. How exciting would that be?
I'll tell you how exciting it'd be. It'd be a lot more exciting than Friday, Dana White saying, tune in 1 hour. I have got some huge news about the Sphere, for the Sphere for you. And I was like, he's going to announce the lineup.
Oh, yeah.
Tickets go on sale on Monday. That's it.
Well, they have announced a lot of the lineup for the
then
Sphere.
it got announced before he announced it. I got to be honest, I'm not even as excited about the Sphere card as I am about this weekend that's coming.
Yeah, I mean, this weekend that's coming has changed a bit. No Nick Diaz anymore.
No.
Travel issues. That might be a blessing. Do we really want to see... Was it Nick Diaz versus Vicente Luque?
No one wants to see that.
I don't want to see that fight. But I do want to see Corey Sandhagen versus Umar Nurmagomedov. Yes, please.
Fucking love Corey Sandhagen.
We
should also former guest Corey Sandhagen. We spoke to Corey on the show, and absolute dude. Cheeto versus Figueiredo.
Oh, that's going to be a great fight. That's going to be a great fight.
I'll tell you what's not. Tony Ferguson, Michael Chiesa.
Oh, no, I can see Chiesa just dominating him, taking him down. I'm not interested in that fight. Mackenzie Dern, Loopy Godinez could be good. I tell you what could be an absolute banger, actually. Joel Alvarez versus Elvis Brenner. I think Alvarez would do it. Alvarez got some nasty elbow KO, I think, in one of his recent fights. Looks really good. Very tall, lightweight. Really good elbows. Really fun fighter. And Elvis Brenner loves a scrap. And as I said, Mackenzie Dern, Loopy Godinez could be interesting. There's some good fights on that
Shout
card.
out boy Jai Herbert. Jai's fighting. And hopefully going to bring back a little bit of good news to Renegade, who are probably licking their wounds a little bit. And a big win for Jai would be great to see.
And the epidemic. Jordan Vucenic is there.
Not even got his photo on
He's
the
not
UFC
got a photo
website.
yet,
Get it on there.
but
He's
he
an
will.
handsome lad.
He will. Guram Kutataladze, though, is very, very good. Very good. So it's a real baptism of fire for Jordan Vucenic, but he's been on such a roll lately and he's looked so good.
I thought a few fights ago after the Paul, I thought, has he lost his chance here to get in the UFC? And I don't know. And the thing is, he's got a following. People love him. And I think the UFC have realised that now, and I just hope he gets a big win at the weekend.
Yeah.
And we see him go on a tear because he's one of the best.
But this Saturday's going to be good.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. We got, I think,
excited.
literally week on week now for the next however many weeks. I think we've got some good stuff coming up.
Are we?
And I'm sure we'll be doing some shows in and around all of those.
Yeah, the next week's one is Sergey Spivak and Marcin Tybura 2. The rematch we all wanted, right, guys?
Sorry, Martha, I set my eyes open.
Yeah, couple of interesting fights. Chris Gutierrez versus Javid Basharat could be a good scrap, but there's not much on that card that's doing a lot for me, if I'm honest. So this weekend, stacked. Next weekend, not so great. And then August 18th, UFC 305, Duplessis versus Adesanya. I mean, oh my God. That card has got Kai Kara-France versus Steve Erceg.
Yeah, boy.
Good fight. Tai Tuivasa versus Jairzinho Rosenstrike.
Yeah, mate.
Good fight. Junior Tuffer, Walter Walker. Whatever. Song Kenan versus Ricky Glenn. Casey O'Neill's on the card. Li Jingliang's on the card. There's nothing there that's really grabbing me. So it's kind of, I think the main event's doing a lot of the heavy lifting, but what a main event. Duplessis versus Adesanya.
Yes, please.
Yes, please. Take my money. And then I think we've got a couple of weeks off after that, and we get Burns versus Brady, which is a fight I didn't even realise was happening.
Nah, it's a good fight.
It's a bloody good fight. So, yeah, very excited about that. So, yes, there's some good weeks coming up. This week, really hope Corey Sandhagen does it because I love Corey Sandhagen. But going to have big ramifications for the bantamweight division, whoever wins this, because you could be saying that it's a number one contender fight for the winner of Marab versus Sean O'Malley, which has been announced for the Sphere.
Well, I think that's all she wrote. Let us know what you thought of the show. The comment section on YouTube. If you're listening to this, then please just subscribe on whatever platform you listen to. Also, go and give our our sponsors a little follow on the socials.
Go and give our followers a follow.
Just
create a
following
real
all our
community.
followers.
Let's just share followers, guys.
One big family, guys.
One love.
Was that by Blue?
Yeah, I think it was.
One love. Yeah, and so, go give our sponsors a follow, and that's Ferocious Fightwear and Fat Candy, and they will be tagged in all the posts around this show. Thanks ever so much for supporting the podcast, and we will see you next time.
Bye, guys.